I've been trying to figure out how to reach those who are in control of large projects, such as corporate art consultants. I'd like to get big deals with multiple pieces. I know this takes time, but how should I start? I have a list of designers and consultants that I have compiled and have thought that cold calling is a way to go. That's absolutely a way to go. You've already gotten started. You don't need me to tell you how to start, Marjolin. You've already gotten started. I like what I'm hearing so far. This list covers designers who work with artists and our larger companies. Although I haven't started this as it seems so desperate and too wide of a scope, I've thought of soft contact through social media. I've reached out through LinkedIn to various designers that I think like my retro niche. I've done Facebook marketing with corporate audience in mind, but all this seems so slow. This week I'm at La Quinta Art Festival in California. I love La Quinta, by the way. I've done Facebook marketing to the corporate designer group in the area and had some click-through success on FB ads, but I don't see if anything comes through this weekend. Okay. I've not done interior design shows because they're so expensive and I don't think the return is there. So as you can see, I've thought about different approaches, but feel a bit paralyzed. I've recently had 3 large-scale paintings purchased by a condo developer. I found the call for artists and followed through. Interesting. The pieces are going to a retirement community, which I think is perfect for vintage style work. However, I believe there must be other opportunities. The question is, how do I find those that buy for retirement communities? Okay. Well, you got a lot going on here, okay? So a couple of things that just stand out right out off the bat is you got a list, okay? And you've thought that cold calling is a way to go. You've looked at LinkedIn, some Facebook marketing. I love what you're doing here, okay? Here's the thing. There's no magic answer for you, okay? There is one word, hustle. Like, go out there and get it. You know that's what you need to do. You don't need me to tell you, but I'm giving you the confirmation. There is no magic way of getting lists of people, lists of customers. Doesn't matter whether they're just direct art buyers or they're corporate clients. You got to get out there and just hustle and work for it, you know? So you want to get the designers and consultants. Let's break this down to a very, very simple thing, because I think people tend to pile on layers of complexity onto what they do, right? Like, they get cute with their tactics and their tricks. Like, do I need to do this and then remarket on Facebook? And, you know, is that going to work? It's like, no. Let's just talk about this very simply. Like, you need the designers and the consultants that are actually buying for projects. You need to locate them. So first of all, find out who they are. Get a list of them. Make sure they're qualified. They're the right people who do this stuff that you want to do. So that's number one. That's a fundamental. Most people will just blast out there not doing that. So number one, get a qualified list of leads. Number two, make sure that they know you exist. That's it, right? Like, you got to do those two things first. And then, so with number two, that could be broken down, you know, into various ways. You can cold call them. You can email them. If the list is big, I would send out a cold email right off the bat. You know, break it up. Like, let's say there's 300 people. Break it up into like 50s or 100 and try different emails with different subject lines and different stuff in them. And all that's going to do, you know, if you do that in something like MailChimp, all that's going to do is maybe get you a couple of warm replies, maybe. But what you can actually do is you go into MailChimp and you look at who opened the email and even who clicked on the email. Like, it's best if you have a link to your site or something that, like, the call to action is something to click on, even if it's like some resource, like a zip file of like your best sellers, right? Or maybe a brochure that you create. I think that's a good idea. I'm going to get back to that in a second. But you can, if you know who opened the email and who clicked on the email, that's who you call, right? Because they're a little bit warmer than just all the cold people. This is a tactic that I've used with sales teams for years, and it's great. It's not like every one of them is perfect. You're basically going into cold any way you slice it, but at least those emails are a little warmer. And a good tactic too with cold calling is a voicemail email combo. Okay, so you send the email out and then you call all the people right after, and a lot of them are not going to pick up their phone. So you drop a nice voicemail. You tell them, I just sent you an email. This is what I do. Wanted to see if you're interested, and you know, and get a good like little script going for that. And then be prepared when they answer the phone with a similar, you know, opening script for them, opening line for them, so that you get their attention and you know, can hopefully have a conversation. Now, before I get to the brochure, I just want to mention this before I forget that um, the key thing here, as I keep talking about, is you got to give them value. You got to think about how to give them value, right, up front. So what can you do for these guys, right? Can you give them like a great deal on their first order? Can you give them some special advisement? Sorry, guys. Okay. All right. So yeah, going back to the value, what can you give them? You gotta put yourself in their shoes. You gotta talk to them too. If you can talk to any in person, like just try to figure out what you can do to kind of prime the pump and give them some special service. You know, some hours of your time for free or something. Like you can review something. Like I don't know. They've got to need your artistic eye for something, right? There's got to be something that you can do. Maybe you can throw in some like signed pieces or some like to whoever is in the building they're going in. I mean, there's got to be some sort of value add that nobody else is doing. The big cold decorative art providers can't do. And that's the stuff that I always love. I did a video on this about customer experience and how it's your biggest advantage, and I just think you just got to leverage that every way you can. Like you can do the one-on-one, hand-to-hand combat in a way that no other big art company can do, and you got to leverage that anywhere you can. And with these interior designers, that's the way to go. Okay, so with the brochure, my thought is that if you're going to go to these guys and you're going to mass email them, or you're going to approach them, or you're going to go to a trade show. By the way, these guys do trade shows too. I've been to all the art trade shows for 20 years. I've seen these guys there, right? So you can go to the show. You don't need a booth, but you could go and cold call their booth in person, right? But you need like a catalog. This is where our catalog feature, by the way, comes into play. You can print the catalog out. It's phenomenal. It's got the augmented reality in it. It will, you could go to like Kinko's and do that, or one of those shops that can print that stuff out on just a decent paper and just make a little binder, out of it and hand these things out potentially. It could just be your best sellers if you want to take it easy, or you could create your own like 2 or 3 page brochure or something like that with just your best sellers, your logo, and like a tagline on there, your bio, and the value that you can add and provide or something. But what you need to do is you need to create something that makes it look like you're dealing with these guys, right? You're ready, you're prepared, and you've got the materials that kind of like show these guys that you're ready to play ball. And I think that will stand out as opposed to every artist and photographer who tells me, I just want, corporate clients, and I just want these people to come to me. But you know what? They're probably just randomly emailing people or doing nothing. And they just want everybody to come to them. No, you got to go to these people. You got to show them who you are. You got to have a professional piece of material, a professional approach. Then they know who you are, right? That's 80% of the battle. The reason that corporate clients are not buying from you or anyone else is because they don't know who you are. And if they do know who you are, a lot of the time they don't think you're legit. They think you're probably operating out of your garage, even though most people are. Don't get me wrong here. But there are websites that you can look at from photographers and artists that are absolutely awful, right? Like you got original artwork on there for $1,000, $2,000, $3,000, $4,000, and it's one of the worst websites you've ever seen with a terrible buying experience. And the first thing that I think of is like, a higher net worth individual who buys artwork and will pay a lot of money for it is like, for my companies or for my home, it's like the second I see that, I'm like, no, because there's no value in what you're doing. All you did was just throw a price number on your work, and you don't even have like the common sense to have like a nice brand and expensive looking website. If I'm going to hold this piece and I think it's going to gain value, like I would expect that you could afford to have a nice brand and a nice experience on your website, not like the worst. So I think all of that plays into, your brand and what you're trying to do. I also think that on your webpage, sorry, on your website, you need to have a web page that's like, maybe it says like corporate clients or, info for designers or something like that. Like you got to speak to them somewhere. I'm not sure what the perfect wording is for that, but speak to them somewhere, and you can drive people to that page as well and have that page be, just amazing with like great resources, maybe discount pricing tiers for 10 plus items. I think that's a really good idea, by the way. Maybe it's 3 or 5. I mean, it should be as low as possible, because as you know, most consumers are not going to even buy two in a short period of time. So in one order, if somebody's going to buy 3 to 5, I think it makes a lot of sense to give them a discount pricing tier, because that also speaks their language as well. These guys need to, they need to make money too. And so if you're like, I've got discount pricing for, or volume pricing for corporate clients and, high volume purchasers, it's sort of, if I came to your site, I'd be like, oh, she must have those customers. Like, she knows how to deal with them. So I think all of those things will probably help you. But at the end of the day, you're going to have to get into the ground game and do what you're doing and just hustle, right? Like you'll find the way. You got to try everything. Like hit them on LinkedIn, hit them on Facebook, call them, email them. Something is going to emerge as being more efficient, or the most efficient strategy. That's the strategy that you go with, and you just perfect that, and you just go all in on it. Just try to learn more and about what you can do to make it more efficient and better. And pretty soon, like you'll be one of those people who all of the interior designers or corporate clients know about. And I think that you're literally like you're putting yourself into a small bracket just by into an elite group just by getting that part done. I think that's the biggest part of the battle.